Stop taking calcium after 65. He knows how that sounds. For 30 years, you've been told the opposite. Drink your milk. Take your supplement. Protect your bones. And now a heart surgeon is telling you to stop. But if you are over 65 and you have been swallowing a calcium tablet every morning thinking you are protecting yourself, there is something happening inside your arteries right now that no one warned you about. Calcium does not always go where you send it. After a certain age, your body loses the ability to direct it. And when calcium gets lost, it does not vanish. It settles. It settles in the one place you do not want it, the walls of your arteries, the very pipes that carry blood to your heart and your brain. Stay with him for the next few minutes. Because there is one mineral, a single inexpensive mineral that almost no one over 65 is getting enough of, that acts like a traffic cop for calcium. It tells calcium where to go and where not to go. It pulls calcium out of the places it should not be and sends it back to the bones where it belongs. Doctors rarely mention it. Pharmacies rarely stock the right form of it. And by the end of this video, he will tell you exactly what it is, the exact daily amount, the exact time to take it, and the exact food that doubles its power. But first you need to understand what is actually happening inside your chest. He is Ethan Cole, 15 years as a cardiothoracic surgeon, 15 years of standing over open chests, holding hearts in his hands, and looking at arteries that should have been smooth and flexible, but instead felt like old garden hoses left out in the sun. Hard, brittle, crusted on the inside. He has seen this in thousands of patients. But he is not telling you this as a doctor looking down. He is telling you this as a man who found the same warning signs in his own body. 2 years ago, a routine scan picked up a calcium score that should not have been there. Not in a surgeon, not in someone who exercised, not in someone who ate well. And that scan changed everything he thought he knew about aging arteries. Because the problem was not what he had been taught in medical school. The problem was something he had been ignoring his whole career. And tonight he is going to share it with you. Take care of your body. It is the only home you have. Here is what almost no one tells you. You think clogged arteries are caused by cholesterol. You have been told that for 40 years. Eat less fat. Watch your numbers. Take a statin. And those things matter, yes. But after 65, cholesterol is not the main story anymore. The main story is calcification. Hard, stone-like deposits in the artery walls. Not soft, fatty plaque. Hard mineral plaque. The kind that does not melt away with a low-fat diet. The kind that makes arteries stiff instead of flexible. The kind that turns a soft, springy tube into a rigid pipe. And here is the part that will surprise you. The calcium in those artery walls is the same calcium you have been swallowing every morning. It is the calcium from your milk. It is the calcium from your supplement. It is the calcium your body could not place correctly. Because after 65, your body produces less and less of the one substance that tells calcium where to go. Without that substance, calcium drifts. It floats through your bloodstream looking for a home. It does not always find your bones. Sometimes it finds your arteries. Sometimes it finds your heart valves. Sometimes it finds your kidneys. That is the real problem. Not how much calcium you are taking in, but whether your aging body still has the messenger that puts it in the right place. This is why so many seniors do everything right and still end up with a bad scan. They drink their milk. They take their pill. They walk every day, and then a calcium score comes back at 400, 600, 900. They feel betrayed by their own body. They are not. Their body simply lost the traffic cop, and no one ever told them they needed to replace it. He needs you to understand what is at stake, because this is not about a number on a chart. This is about your independence. Heart disease is still the #1 killer of adults over 65 in this country. Not cancer, not falls, heart disease. And the type that takes most people by surprise is not the heart attack from a single soft clot. It is the slow, silent stiffening of the arteries that have been hardening for years. Stiff arteries mean your heart has to push harder with every single beat. Push harder year after year, and the heart muscle thickens, then weakens. Stiff arteries mean less blood reaches your brain. Less blood to the brain means slower thinking, foggier memory, dizziness when you stand up. Stiff arteries mean the small vessels in your eyes, your kidneys, your hands and feet all start to fail at the same time. Here is a number that should make you sit up. Studies in cardiology journals have shown that adults over 65 with a coronary artery calcium score above 400 have a risk of a major cardiac event within 10 years that is more than 7 times higher than those with a score near 0. 7 times. And most people walking around with that score have no symptoms at all. None. Until the day they do. But here is the relief. He is not telling you this to frighten you and leave you there. He is telling you this because the process can be slowed. In some cases, it can even be partially reversed. Not with a drug, not with surgery, with one mineral that costs less than a cup of coffee per month. And tonight, He is going to walk you through the 5 things you must understand and do starting tonight to protect those arteries and pull that calcium back where it belongs. He is going to give you 5 steps. 5 things ranked from least powerful to most powerful. Step 5 is helpful. Step 4 matters more. Step 3 is where most people start to see change. Step 2 is what cardiologists are quietly starting to recommend behind closed doors. And Step 1. Step 1 is the mineral, the single nutrient that fewer than 3% of Americans over 65 are getting in the right form and the right amount, the one that turns the traffic light back on inside your arteries. He will reveal it, but not yet. Because if he tells you now, you will close the video and run to the store and buy the wrong thing. And he does not want you to buy the wrong thing. He wants you to understand it. So stay with him. And before he begins, do him one small favor. In the comments below, type your age in one word. Just one word. Either scan if you have had a calcium scan done, or none if you have not. He reads them. He uses them. It helps him know who is watching. Now, step number 5. Stop drinking calcium-fortified beverages on an empty stomach. He knows how strange that sounds. The bottle says calcium added. The label tells you it is good for your bones. But here is what happens inside an aging body. When you flood your bloodstream with a sudden dose of calcium on an empty stomach, your body cannot absorb most of it. It hits the blood fast. The kidneys panic, and the calcium that does not get used gets pushed out into the soft tissues. Think of it like pouring a bag of cement powder into a slow-moving stream. Most of it does not dissolve. It sinks. It settles. It hardens wherever the current is weakest. The walls of your arteries are exactly that kind of slow-moving stream after 65. A study out of a respected nutrition journal followed adults over 60 who took calcium supplements without food. Their arterial calcification progressed nearly 22% faster over 5 years than those who took the same amount of calcium with a full meal. 22% faster. Same dose, same supplement. Different timing. That is the difference. Margaret, 75. A retired school librarian from Phoenix came to him after her doctor noted a new heart murmur. She had been drinking a calcium-fortified almond beverage every morning before breakfast for 6 years. 6 years of dutiful, well-intentioned mornings. Her scan showed calcium creeping into the valve between her left atrium and her ventricle. She was devastated. She thought she had been protecting herself. He told her to stop drinking it on an empty stomach. Just that one change. Move it to lunch, with food with fat. 6 months later, her cardiologist said the progression had stopped. Stopped. Not reversed, but stopped. For Margaret, that was everything. So here is what to do. If you take calcium in any form, supplement or fortified drink, take it with a real meal that contains some fat. Not after the meal, with the meal. The fat slows absorption and lets your body shuttle the calcium properly. Never on an empty stomach. Never first thing in the morning with just coffee. That single change on its own will not save your arteries, but it stops you from making the problem worse while you work on steps 4 through 1. And the next step is where most seniors are accidentally undoing every good thing they do for their heart. Step number 4. Cut back sharply on processed phosphate additives. Read the label on any boxed, bagged, or canned food in your pantry. Look for the word phosphate. Sodium phosphate, calcium phosphate, disodium phosphate. They are in lunch meats, in powdered creamers, in flavored sodas, in processed cheese, in frozen dinners, in baked goods. They are everywhere. And here's what they do inside an older body. They throw off the delicate balance between calcium and phosphorus in your blood. When phosphorus runs high, your body pulls calcium out of your bones to balance it. That calcium then floats free. And free-floating calcium, as you now know, ends up in the wrong places. Picture your bloodstream as a quiet country road with a posted speed limit. Phosphates are like 10 trucks suddenly merging on at once. The whole road becomes chaos. The body has to react. It pulls calcium out of the bones to restore order. The bones thin. The blood vessels harden. Both problems from the same cause. Research published on chronic disease in older adults found that seniors with the highest intake of processed phosphate additives had vascular calcification scores 31% higher than those who ate mostly whole foods. 31%. And the most surprising part of that study was that the difference was not explained by salt, sugar, or saturated fat. It was the phosphates alone. Raymond, 74, a retired civil engineer from Tucson, came to him after a stress test went poorly. Raymond ate what he thought was a heart-healthy diet. Lean deli turkey, low-fat processed cheese, a diet soda with lunch, a flavored coffee creamer. None of it looked like junk food. All of it was loaded with phosphate additives. He asked Raymond to do one thing. Cut every food with the word phosphate on the label for 8 weeks. Replace the deli meat with roasted chicken from his own oven. Replace the creamer with a splash of real milk. Replace the soda with sparkling water and lemon. 8 weeks later, Raymond's blood phosphorus dropped into the ideal range for the first time in years. His blood pressure dropped 15 points, and on his next stress test, he made it nearly 3 minutes longer than before. He sat in the office and said, "I didn't know food was doing that to me. Most people don't. So here is what to do. For the next 2 weeks, read every label. If you see the word phosphate, put it back on the shelf. Choose whole foods, real meat, real cheese in small amounts, real milk if you tolerate it, water, coffee with a splash of real cream. 2 weeks. That is all he is asking. You will be amazed at how much hidden phosphate disappears from your plate. And the next step is the one most people skip because it sounds too simple to matter. But it is the one that quietly does more for your arteries than almost anything you can buy in a bottle." Before he goes on, do this. If anything so far has made you stop and think, hit the like button right now. Just tap it once. It tells the platform to show this to other people over 65 who need to hear it. He never asked twice, but he is asking now. Step number 3, move your body for 10 minutes after every meal. Not a workout, not a sweat session. 10 minutes of slow, easy walking. Around the house, down the driveway, around the block. Why does this matter for clogged arteries? Because every meal you eat sends a wave of glucose and minerals into your blood. When you sit after eating, that wave hits a stagnant pool. The minerals do not circulate well. Insulin spikes, inflammation rises, and inflammation is the spark that turns soft plaque into hard plaque. Inflammation is what tells calcium to settle where it should not. Walking, even gently, keeps the wave moving. It is the difference between a flowing river and a stagnant pond. Things settle in ponds. Things stay suspended in rivers. Think of your arteries as the rain gutters around your house. If water flows through them every day, they stay clean. If water sits inside them, leaves and grit collect on the bottom. Within a season, you have a clog. Your arteries work the same way. A study published on post-meal walking and cardiovascular markers in adults over 60 found that just 10 minutes of walking after each meal, 3 times a day, reduced markers of vascular inflammation by 27% over 12 weeks. 27%. From walking, not from running, not from the gym, from walking slowly after eating. Dorothy, 71, a retired elementary school teacher, told him she could not exercise anymore. Her knees were bad. Her back hurt. Walking on a treadmill felt like punishment. He did not ask her to use a treadmill. He asked her to walk to her mailbox and back 3 times a day after each meal. That is it. Her mailbox was at the end of a short driveway. It took her about 10 minutes round trip if she walked slowly. 6 weeks later, her fasting glucose had dropped 14 points. Her resting heart rate dropped 6 beats per minute. She stood up from a chair without using her hands for the first time in 2 years. She called him and said, "I feel like I have my body back." That is the power of a small thing done consistently. So here is what to do. After breakfast, 10 minutes. After lunch, 10 minutes. After dinner, 10 minutes. Slow. Easy. Inside the house if the weather is bad. Around the kitchen if you live in a small space. Just keep your body moving for 10 minutes after food enters it. Do not skip this because it sounds too easy. The easy things are the things you can actually keep doing. And the next step is the one a cardiologist whispered to him at a conference 5 years ago and changed how he eats for the rest of his life. Step number 2. Start eating 1 cup of leafy greens daily with a small amount of olive oil. Spinach, kale, collards, Swiss chard, arugula. Pick one. Eat 1 cup every day with a tablespoon of olive oil drizzled over the top. Here is why. Leafy greens are the richest natural source of 2 things your aging arteries are starving for. The first is nitrates, which your body converts to nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is the molecule that tells your arteries to relax and widen. As you age, you produce less of it. Less nitric oxide means stiffer arteries, means higher blood pressure, means more damage to the artery wall, means more calcium settling in. The second thing leafy greens give you is a fat-soluble vitamin that your arteries need desperately. But your body can only absorb it if there is fat in the same meal. Eat the greens dry, and you lose most of the benefit. Eat the greens with olive oil, and you unlock it. Think of olive oil as a delivery truck. The vitamins in the greens are the packages. Without the truck, the packages sit at the warehouse. With the truck, they get delivered to every cell in your body. A clinical trial in a major heart journal followed adults over 65 who added 1 cup of leafy greens with olive oil to their daily routine. After 6 months, their measures of arterial flexibility improved by 19% compared to the control group. Their blood pressure dropped an average of 9 points. Their inflammation markers fell. 1 cup, 6 months. Helen, 74, came to him with stiff hands, stiff arteries, and a stiff opinion that vegetables were boring. He asked her to try one thing. A handful of baby spinach in a bowl, a drizzle of olive oil, a pinch of salt, a squeeze of lemon, every day for 60 days. She did not love it the first week. She did not hate it the second. By the third week, she was looking forward to it. 60 days later, her blood pressure had dropped from 152/88 to 131/78 without any change in her medication. Her doctor reduced her dosage. Helen cried in his office. Not because of the medication, because she felt clear-headed for the first time in years. So here is what to do. 1 cup of leafy greens every day with 1 tablespoon of olive oil. You can eat it as a salad. You can saute it for 2 minutes. You can blend it into a smoothie with a piece of avocado. Pick the form you will actually do. The form does not matter. The daily habit does. And now, finally, you are ready for step number 1. The mineral. The traffic cop. The single nutrient that almost no one over 65 is getting in the right form. Stay with him. This is the one. Step number 1. Vitamin K2. Specifically the form called MK7. He knows it sounds technical. He knows you have probably never heard a doctor say it out loud. That is exactly the problem. Vitamin K2 is the messenger your body uses to tell calcium where to go. Without enough K2, calcium drifts. With enough K2, calcium is escorted gently and precisely out of your arteries and back into your bones where it belongs. It activates 2 proteins. One is called osteocalcin, which pulls calcium into your bones. The other is called matrix GLA protein, which keeps calcium out of your arteries. Both of those proteins are useless without K2 to switch them on. Useless. They sit in your body, manufactured, ready, waiting, and they cannot do their job until K2 turns the key. Think of K2 as the dispatcher at a delivery company. The packages, your calcium, are sitting on the loading dock. The trucks, the proteins, are parked outside. Without the dispatcher, nothing moves. The packages pile up in the wrong places. The trucks sit idle. Add the dispatcher, and suddenly the whole system works. Calcium goes to bones. Arteries stay clear. Heart valves stay flexible. Everything in its right place. And here's the part that should make every senior in America furious. As you age, you produce less and less K2 on your own. Your gut bacteria, which used to make some of it for you, become less efficient. The foods that contain it, fermented foods, certain cheeses, grass-fed animal products, have largely disappeared from the modern American diet. By age 65, most adults are getting only a tiny fraction of what their arteries need. And almost no doctor mentions it. Almost no standard multivitamin contains it in the right form. There are 2 forms of K2. MK4 and MK7. MK4 leaves your body in about an hour. MK7 stays active for around 72 hours. For your arteries, MK7 is the one that does the work. A landmark study, the Rotterdam Heart Study, followed thousands of older adults for 10 years. Those with the highest intake of vitamin K2 had a 52% lower risk of severe arterial calcification and a 57% lower risk of dying from heart disease compared to those with the lowest intake. 52%, 57%, from one nutrient. He has read that study a dozen times. The numbers do not move. They are real. Walter, 68, a retired baseball coach from Knoxville, came to him with a calcium score of 612. 612. He was scared. He had 3 grandchildren. He wanted to be at their high school graduations. He thought he was looking at a future of surgeries and medications. Ethan put him on a routine. The 4 steps you have already heard. And one more thing. 180 micrograms of vitamin K2 as MK7 taken once a day with his largest meal of the day, the meal with the most fat. 18 months later, Walter's calcium score had not just stopped climbing. It had dropped, slightly but unmistakably, from 612 to 588. His cardiologist had never seen a score go down in a patient of that age. Walter sat in the office, looked at the printout, and said, "Doc, I am going to see those graduations." He cried. Ethan cried with him. So here is exactly what to do. Look for vitamin K2 specifically labeled as MK7, not MK4, not generic KMK7. The dose for most adults over 65 is between 100 and 200 micrograms per day. Take it once daily with your largest meal, the one with the most fat in it, because K2 is fat soluble and absorption can more than double when taken with fat instead of on an empty stomach. If you are on a blood-thinning medication like warfarin, do not start K2 without speaking to your cardiologist first, because it can interact with that specific drug. For everyone else, this is one of the safest, best-studied, and most underprescribed nutrients in modern medicine. Now, you might be wondering, if this is so well studied, if the Rotterdam data is decades old, if the mechanism is understood, why has no doctor ever mentioned it to you? Why did your annual physical never include a K2 conversation? Why is it not on the standard panel? He will tell you honestly, it is not a conspiracy. It is a system problem. The average primary care appointment in this country lasts about 11 minutes. 11 minutes to review your medications, your labs, your symptoms, your concerns, and any new issues. There is no time for nutrient education. There is no billing code for explain vitamin K2 to a patient who has never heard of it. Doctors are not paid to teach. They are paid to diagnose and prescribe. And the pharmaceutical industry, which funds most continuing medical education, has no patentable interest in a cheap vitamin that you can buy at any grocery store. So K2 sits in the scientific literature, well-proven and quietly powerful, and almost never reaches the people who need it most. Do not blame your doctor. Most of them are doing their best inside a broken clock. Just understand that the responsibility to know this is now yours. And now you know. So let him bring it all together. 5 steps. Step 5, never take calcium on an empty stomach. Step 4, eliminate processed phosphate additives from your pantry. Step 3, walk for 10 minutes after every meal. Step 2, 1 cup of leafy greens daily with olive oil. Step 1, 100 to 200 micrograms of vitamin K2 as MK7 taken with your largest fatty meal of the day. 5 steps, none of them expensive, none of them complicated, all of them together, working on the same problem from 5 different angles. He wants you to hear something now, clearly. You are not broken. Your arteries are not beyond hope. Your age is not your enemy. The body you are living in right now is still listening, still adapting, still repairing every single day if you give it the right materials. The reason your arteries have hardened is not because you failed. It is because no one ever explained the one missing piece. Now you have it. Now you can act. So here is his challenge to you. For the next 30 days, do all 5 steps. Not 3 of them, not 4, all 5. 30 days is enough time for your body to begin to shift. Your blood pressure will likely drop. Your energy will likely rise. Your thinking will likely sharpen. And the slow, silent process inside your arteries, the one that has been working against you for years, will begin to slow, stop, and in time, reverse. 30 days. Then come back to this video and leave him 1 word in the comments. Just 1. Type done. He reads everyone. He celebrates everyone. And if you know someone over 65, a brother, a sister, a spouse, a friend from church, anyone who has ever worried about their heart, share this video with them. Send it to 1 person tonight. Because the people who love us do not need our worry. They need our information. They need our care. They need the things that took us decades to learn delivered to them in 28 minutes. You are still here. You watched to the end. That tells him something about you. You are not someone who gives up on your body. You are someone who refuses to accept decline as a destination. Hold on to that. Live in that. Take care of your body. It is the only home you have.